Okay, making better music has nothing to do with almost nothing to do with technique or talent. Like, yeah, you can always get better at mixing melodies, whatever, chords, but that's not why most people are mid. And that's not the way to get better for most people. Most music feels mid because it doesn't feel like necessary. Nobody asked for it. It feels like it could not have existed and the world wouldn't change at all. And that's not a skill issue, bro. That's a clarity issue. Most people sit down and make, they don't like, they sit down and make music and think, let's make a good song. And that's already the wrong starting point, because good compared to what? Who? You can't make a good song. Good music doesn't exist. And that's the point. You're just floating. So when you end up making something that sounds like music, how do you know if it's good or not? What category do you put it in? The better music starts way before you start making chords or go into your DAW. It starts with knowing exactly what you're reacting to. Every good song is a reaction to something, a feeling, a moment, a frustration, a memory, another song even. A lot of times you probably relate to this if you're an artist, just hear a song and you're like, oh, I want to make something like that. And if you don't know what you're reacting to, you're just stacking sounds. We need to stop thinking about music as this abstract thing. Music is just like, you're feeling something and you're getting it out to the world. You're reacting to something and you're getting it out to the world. And that's why artists who live an interesting life, or who actually do stuff, that's why they tend to make better music. It's because they're reacting to more stuff and they're living more. I'll put this clip of Lauryn Hill talking about it here.
Music was created, but it wasn't my best. And it wasn't my best because there was no substance. And there was no substance because there was no experience.
And like, the best artists, they don't search for inspiration. They're responding to it, They're living and they're constantly responding to it. And a really simple test is like, if someone asked you why you made a song and you answered like, I just felt it, then that just means that the song probably doesn't have a spine. If you can't like pinpoint clear why you made that song or what it's about, that it's probably not good. Not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's fragile. And another thing that people don't really like hearing is that you need to stop making music that proves you're talented, okay? Don't try and like just be technical with it. Like, it's like Eminem, Eminem, when he tries to prove that he's a good rapper, he just starts doing a bunch of but it doesn't sound good, yeah? Because when you force it, it just ruins the song, okay? The second you're trying to impress with someone with a song, it stops being honest. It stops being from you for you. And honesty is what people want to hear. People want you to just be authentic. And when they don't hear that, it ruins the vibe, bro. Come on now. So better music comes from some type of limitations as well. That's another thing I need to say. Yeah, good creativity comes from limitations, okay? Same tempo, same sounds, same mood, yeah? Not because you're like limiting yourself and being trapped, but because you're going deeper instead of wider. So if you somewhat like limit yourself, choose a genre, choose a tempo, choose whatever already, and kind of box yourself in, even choose a line that you're going to start the song with, and limit yourself in like the creative freedom. And what's gonna happen is you're gonna go deeper instead of like wider, because when you're giving yourself too much things to just like meddle with and experiment with, it's not gonna become as focused. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah. Also, you probably don't make enough music, not because you're lazy, but because you're actually like a perfectionist or precious. You treat every song like it might be or it has to be the one. So you probably end up overthinking into nothing. The artists who get good fast, they aren't magically better. They just do more volume. They just finish more projects, and that includes bad songs. And another thing that actually matters is that you need to stop consuming the same stuff you're trying to sound like. I think like one thing that helped me a lot was just like not listening to music, or at least not listening to music that I make. If I make hip hop, I won't listen to less hip hop, because at the end of the day, you're gonna pull inspiration you need to pull inspiration from weird places. If you listen to EDM and you take inspiration from EDM, like, where is the actual novelty? Where's the new stuff coming from? Where's the new ideas gonna come from? If you're just listening to the same stuff you're making, you're just gonna be making the same stuff that you're listening to, and it's gonna be shit because it's nothing new. At the end of the day, music moves fast. You need to create new stuff to create good stuff. And so stop consuming the same stuff that you're trying to sound like. At least while you're creating, you know what I'm saying? You don't have to stop listening to whatever you like listening to, but when you're making stuff, don't pull inspiration from what you're actually trying to sound like. And I mean, that's how you end up making that's how you end up making copies. You don't want to make copies. You don't want to copy the shit you're listening to. You need to pull inspiration from weird places, man. Pull inspiration from movies, from other genres, from, photos, old interviews with some random ass people, and random comments. I mean, pull inspiration from the people you know in your everyday life. Try and translate a vibe, a feeling, or something in your real life. Don't try and just process what you've already listened to in your genre. And so listen, your taste is probably better than your ability as well. And that's normal. The music you like listening to are probably better than the music you actually make. There's a gap between your taste and what you think is good and what you're actually able to make. But that I'm telling you, that feeling is the proof that you're moving in the right direction. Yeah, the goal isn't to bridge the gap fast. The goal is to keep working until your ability catches up with your perception of what's good. And I think that's what makes people quit. The fact that you don't your ability doesn't match your quality expectation and your quality perception. So just remember that if you think you're not making good enough music, it's not because you're not. Well, it means you're just not right now, and it means that you probably will eventually, because you know where to go. You know what I'm saying? You know where to improve because you understand what's good or not good. And so yeah, just remember that. And another big underrated thing is that you need to say less, okay? The problem with most songs is that they try to communicate too many things at the same time. If you instead concentrated it to one feeling, one image, one idea, it'd be way better, because clarity beats complexity every time. So stop trying to sound like an artist instead of sounding like a person, because people don't connect to artist voices. They connect to human voices. That's a profound one. And even if it's messy, especially when it's messy, that's when people connect the most. Remember that. And the last thing, I will say this last because it is probably the most important. If your music doesn't fit into the world you're building online, the brand or the image, then that's when you know that something's off, okay? That's how you know if it's good music or bad music, okay? The best music feels like it could only come from you. Okay, it's not about the quality and how it's mixed and how it sounds and how it's mastered. No, it's about how it fits you and the fact that it could only come from you. Okay, not because it's technically unique, but because it makes sense with everything else. Okay, your visuals, your humor, your style, it makes sense to you. It all lines up. So yeah, how to make music, better music. It's not about plugins or tutorials or opinions. It's about more intention, finishing more projects, being more honest, repeating more repetition, less trying to impress, and pull inspiration from the world. Go and live, man. Go live in the world and shit. So yeah, I mean, that's it. Have a good life, bro. Peace.